Hello, this is It Is Time with Millie Kuboka. Now, this channel is all about events that happen in our lives. It's about experiences that happened in our lives, and we felt in one way or another that no, it just wasn't time for it. It wasn't just time for us to share. But again, we can't hold on to that. There comes a time where we need to share our stories. We need to share our experiences. And that is why we have this channel, where you have to come out of that zone and share your experience so that another person can heal, another person can experience your journey, another person can walk your journey, So I know that time was not the time, but today it is time. And I would like to usher us into this It Is Time experience by sharing my own journey. Now, in the year 2021, September, date 24th, something tragic happened in my life that almost took my life. I never thought I would get to this point where I would break, not only as a person, but also my spirit and my soul. Everything that made me Millie at that time broke. And it's because I lost someone very close to me, my aunt. This day, I was actually in church serving, and I felt the urge to go and pray. I didn't know why, but I felt I needed to go and pray for my aunt who was not feeling okay. And I remember going to the altar and I cried to God. I cried to God, and even got to a point where I felt, God, maybe if I'm doing something wrong that is not making her get healed, I am sorry. I cried to God. And I was asking God, please, just heal my aunt. And I remember for those that are spiritual, I saw a spirit of my aunt moving from one place to another. And immediately I knew I was binding devils, because I knew demons were trying to take the spirit of my aunt or whatever that moment. I didn't know that was my aunt actually going. I didn't know. Now, at this time, my husband and my biological father were in Nairobi when they received, Nairobi town, and they received the message that my aunt had gone. My dad told my husband, please make sure you do not break this message to her. If you don't want us to bury two people, make sure you do not give this message to her. Now, as the day progressed, I kept feeling a certain way, and I couldn't explain why. I just thought it is one of those days. My husband comes back from town, and they have done whatever they were doing with my dad. He comes all cool. He's not even sharing anything with me. I'm in a certain group, and I'm even telling them, hey guys, please help me pray for my aunt. He knows my aunt is dead, but he's not saying anything. Come Friday morning at around 9 a.m., I went to the office, and while I was there, my dad called me. He's like, hi, how are you? How are you doing? At that time, I questioned why he called, because I was traveling from Nairobi all the way to Kitale. And for those that know, that journey is one long journey. And he's supposed to be sleeping. Why is he not sleeping? Another question I asked, he normally doesn't call immediately. He calls me later. But this time he called immediately to tell me how he's around, and how some of my uncles, now the husband to my aunt, and another uncle who's the brother to my aunt, how they're in Kitale. I'm wondering why. And he's like, auntie's health is just not okay. He ended that call, but I started putting the pieces together. I was like, something is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere. And I started breaking down in the office. And I remember that there was an event in church. Something was taking place. But I just didn't care. I started breaking out. I cried. And I remember I called one of my friends and I was telling them, these people are lying to me. These people are lying to me. My aunt is gone. They are lying to me. My aunt is gone. Trust me, by this time, I don't know. I think it was just my spirit man confirming, but I didn't know that she was gone. I started crying. The next thing, I called my husband. At that time, he was just my fiance. And I was like, something is wrong. These people are lying to me. These people are lying to me. I think my husband called my dad, or I don't know what happened there, because I was just crying. And I remember even putting a particular prayer that was in tongues, and I was like, God, I can't pray right now. I can only, I just need the aid for this strength. And I was just praying, and I was hoping whatever I was feeling was wrong. Let me give you the magnitude of this relationship that I had with my aunt. I know someone will be like, but this is just your aunt. This one was like a mother to me. She had only 3 boys, and according to her, I was the girl that she never had. We had such a relationship that when I was traveling, she would come see me off. When I had a personal issue, she would be the one that would come in and help me and give me counsel and all that. When I was dating someone, she's the one that I would tell. So we had a very strong bond. She was my mother as well. We were very tight. When my son would go to for holidays, other than my mother, she was the other grandmother my son would go to every other holiday. That's how we were tight. Now, my dad calls me, and my dad was like, Millie, we need to accept because auntie's organs are failing, and I know where this is. Apparently, at this time, my aunt is in the mortuary. And I was like, no, Dad, you don't have faith. If it's kidney week, I can donate my kidney. Whatever it is, I am willing to do whatever it is. Dad, we have to do everything to save her. And my aunt was, at this time, my dad was like, no, Millie, I'm in medicine. I know these things. And I was like, no, you need to operate faith. But I was crying. Now my dad knew, this one, let me tell the mother. My mom calls me. I couldn't even speak to my mom. I was in tears. It's like, just for them not saying anything, they are confirming it. But at this point still, I don't know yet if she's dead. Now this is another thing. Apparently, my husband had spoken to my bishop about what had happened. Now my bishop comes. My bishop is Bishop Eric Mwangi, New Breed City Chapel. Comes, and he finds me all with, tomato eyes. They're so red. I had cried. I'm telling you. He comes in, hugs me. I break out. I break out again. I cry. Takes me to his office, and then he says, Millie, it's the will of God. Oh my God. Now he actually confirmed that my aunt is dead. I refuse. I was like, no, that's not the will of God. It is not well. Actually, it is not well. You know how us believers keep saying it is well? I was like, no, it is not well. It is not well. I cried. My bishop was like, okay, Millie, do you want to take an off? Do you want to go home? I'm like, no, I want to stay. Where? In church? How long do you want to stay? For 1 hour. Those kind of, like, you just want to give answers so that to justify where you are at that moment. And I remember at that time, I think I had only 200 and something on my M-Pesa, and I was like, no, I want to go home. And I didn't want to go home in a matatu because I looked I was a mess. I went home in my house, and my husband just had to accompany me. He didn't know how to deal with me because he had never seen me like that at all. He had never seen me like that. I'm telling you, every other person that passed by sounded like my aunt at that very moment. Any woman that spoke in Kikuyu sounded like my aunt. I couldn't believe it. Now it came to the day of the burial, and we were traveling to Nakuru. That's where she lived. And I remember I was chatting actually with one of the sons, and he was like, "Oh, when you get here, I'm coming to pick you, this and this and that." And I was like, okay. So in this case, I was like, maybe I'm the one that needs to show more concern to them. But now, apparently, all of them back home, they are more concerned about me, my state, because I'm telling you, we were very tight. Even the sons were wondering how to handle me. So I get to the stage where we're supposed to get to their house. He comes pick me up. Ay, I'm telling you, that road, unatembea tu hivi, all you see is things or places that you went with her and all that. And then as I drew closer to the home, I'm seeing the tents and the songs, those songs that are always playing when, oh my God, I couldn't hold it. I could, like, no. The reality of this whole thing was coming right my face. I entered, I saw the tents, I saw the people from her church, and then I got in and I saw my mom. Oh, I broke. I cried. And at this time, my cousin, the one that picked me up, the second born, he was the one comforting me. And I was like, you can't be good. Like, I'm the one to comfort you. But what- it is time. My cousin was the one that was comforting me. And the following day was the burial day. I didn't know how to behave around every other person. I didn't know how to sleep in that house without her. And I just blocked the emotions at that very time. I blocked those emotions. Like, I didn't want to leave that moment, if you would say. So the following day, every other person goes to the mortuary. The Kikuyu tradition is you go to the mortuary, you view the body, and then after that, every other thing back to like, there's no viewing of the body at the homestead. So what happened is I didn't go to the mortuary because no, I didn't want that reality of her passing to come to me. So every other person went, and when they're coming, all of them had cried. Oh my God, their eyes were red. She was that auntie that every other person loved. I don't know how to explain it. That coolant. So every other person had cried, and one of my cousin was like, this one has not gone to the mortuary. And I was like, no, I can't go. So I was okay, busy doing everything. I'm the one directing people. Like, if you want to know where anything is in the house, people be like, that's the daughter, ask her. So they Like I was busy. I was keeping myself busy to just not experience that whole thing, or to just block that reality. So that day, the hearse came, and I was just seated where the family is. I don't know how to explain it, but I had blocked that experience. All of a sudden, when I saw her coffin being removed, that's when I was like, oh yeah, she's actually gone. I remember my my dad signaling to my husband, like, take hold of this one, because I couldn't even make a speech. My dad had to speak, even say my name on my behalf. It was that crazy. We buried her, and it was just one sad day. Now, after that experience, this is what now happened. That's why I'm actually sharing this story today. This is what happened. I cut my relationship with God. Being a pastor, I want you to realize this, because we've put so much pressure on men and women of God, in that they're not people, they're not human beings, they are more of angels or something, or beings. Being at this time, I'm a pastor, but I am so mad at God. I don't know how to explain it better, but I was so mad at God, to the point that I would start praying, and as soon as I start, I would say, why am I even praying to you when you'll do your own thing? My mom has known my Christian journey, my salvation journey. Never has she ever seen me this low. She was actually worried, like, you can't be this low with God. I stopped praying. I stopped believing in God. I was mad at God. I kept saying, if I can pray to you to save her, I do everything that you've taught us in the Bible, and you still take her. No, I can't do this. This experience made me have a bad relationship with God, have a bad relationship with my fiance, who we were planning a wedding. Actually, Rorasho. My Rorasho was supposed to, my traditional wedding, which is Rorasho, was supposed to be, the dowry paying actually, was supposed to be in October, just a few days before a few days after, wait, she died in September. Now the Rorasho was supposed to be in October. Now I was also mad that she didn't attend my Rorasho, because she was now with my parents at that time. I was like, why couldn't you just wait a little bit for you to attend even my Rorasho? Like, you are that person who can't miss such an event. So there was that bitterness of, she didn't see my Rorasho come to pass. I was mad at God. This affected my relationship with my fiance. That means I was like, I don't want even this Rorasho thing. Oh my God, I didn't want anything. I lost hope. I was, how do I put it? I was suicidal, like everything, all wrapped mess, whatever you can talk about. I lost hope for living. There was no sense or purpose for me to live. That thing died at that, like, it's like my life went with her at that moment. So this thing affected my walk with God. And I remember by the time I was coming back, I was coming back, but I came back as a different person. I was not cheerful. I was sad. I was mad. There was nothing good about. I didn't want to be associated with anything church. I didn't want to relate. But at the same time, I didn't like the person I had become, and I was trying to look for help. That's another thing we will talk about in this channel, how Christians grieve, but there's just that help is not really there. I really tried to look for someone to pull me out of that hole, and I didn't know who to do that. And many people didn't understand me at that point, and I don't blame anyone because, well, they've never seen this side of me. Even me, I didn't understand myself. But one thing that my husband did was he was consistent. Even when I was throwing emotions all over, he kept praying. He never judged my recent person or the recent me or the new me. He kept just showing me care and love. My parents kept in checking. I remember even my cousin, there's a time I was telling my cousin I want to go visit them, and they're like, you're not coming. If you come back here, we are going to all cry. Like they're even preventing me from coming to see my aunt's grave. Like, it was that bad. One day during a sermon, my Bishop Eric Mwange, told me that I was in such a deep grieving that he saw me climbing out of faith, and that thing was also going to take my life. I remember I was suicidal. This experience brought in a particular pain that I've never experienced. It brought a particular loss that I've never experienced in my life. So when I heard what Bishop said, that's when I realized, oh, okay, I see what was happening here. The devil was up to no good. Then I reached out to another friend of mine because I was always the strong one. For some weird reason, trust me, even the strong people break, and they break hard. I reached out. I was going to see her, thinking that I was going to check up on her because she had come from a hospital. Then when I was talking to her, the conversation turned and it was all about me. I broke before her, and I think that's the time she has actually ever seen me cry like that. And she was like, you know what, how about we seek help from someone that doesn't know you so that you can actually speak out your mind and just share what is going on. To show you how bad this thing, on the same week of after we did our wedding, that very week, my husband found me in the bedroom crying. Like, he's married the woman, and in the same week I'm crying, and he's wondering why you're crying, and obviously in a concerned way. And I was like, I wish my aunt attended my wedding. Imagine she died without being in my wedding. So I carried that thing. So when back to the story of my friend, she directed me to a particular counseling center. I went there and they helped me one way or another, and I was kind of okay. Well, at least something came out. Then, thinking that I'm all okay, one Sunday, I was just seated at the back of at the church at the back. This happened. A man of God passed by, one of our pastors passed by, and he came back and was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah. Then my husband happened to pass. I was like, is your wife okay? Then my husband was like, yeah, unless we ask. Then he he took us outside at the church dome. And he was like, when I passed, I saw something. And you are not okay. He went into what he felt and what he saw. And then all of a sudden he said, you know what? There's someone that died and this person is very close to you. And she's saying that you need to let go. You need to let her go because she's in a good place. You are the one blocking your miracles. Hey, sema kukasirika times 2. I was so mad at that word because I was, you know how you hold on to pain to give it meaning? Yeah, like I'm holding on to my aunt so that she doesn't feel like I've left her. I don't know how to explain it. But by me grieving her daily, made me connect with her in my own understanding. So for her to tell me not to, how do I put it? For her to tell me not to grieve her and to let go and to allow her to go, I was like, how are you just disconnecting yourself from my life like that? I was mad. Like, this is the only thing I have that is relating to you, and then you're telling me to let go. But after that, I had to find ways of dealing with it. Then um, that same month, after allowing myself to just, okay, let me see how to go about it, that's when I actually got a job, proving that I was the one that was actually holding on to that pain. But at that time, also, I got to understand that I could hold on to the memories, the good memories of her, without feeling the pain. But one thing that we don't even talk about is it just the absence that makes you feel the pain, or is there something else that is making you hold on to the pain, or you feel like you need that pain? And I came to realize I felt bad because when she was dying, I was not there. I felt like I needed to be there, and because I was not there, I had let her down. Oh, something I forgot to tell you. When in Kitale before, when she had just passed on, I remember when I was telling my dad that Friday. Remember that Friday? Yeah, that Friday. When I was telling my mom that I wanted to talk to my aunt. At this time, I didn't know that she had died yet. They were telling me she's in ICU in a very critical way. She can't even speak. I was like, no, 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 no. What you can do, just take your phone to her. When she hears my voice, she'll be okay. Like we had that connection with my aunt. So my mother was wondering, how am I going to take a phone to mortuary? This girl is insisting. Well, I just needed to bring that so that you know how close we are with my aunt. But later on, after just allowing myself to walk the journey and heal, I came to realize that when you are grieving and you're going through something, it can take away your life without you knowing. It can eat you up from inside out. And when you're grieving or when you've lost someone, it affects those people around you. It hurts those people around you. And well, in this platform, you're going to be talking about how grief of a partner can affect the spouse, or how it affects the children. Did you know that your children grieve as well? Yeah. You know, in a place of mourning, I would expect God to show himself as that father or that friend. I don't know, that sticks closer than a brother. Yeah? uh-uh. You guessed it wrong. Mm-mm. One day I was still in all my messiness and still blaming God and whatever. I'm telling you, I had God rebuke me. This thing sobered me up. But other than those counseling sessions, this is the one thing that rebuked me back into soberness. I had God say, you should be happy that I actually gave you some time with your aunt. All the years that you've stayed with her, you should be happy about those years, instead of you coming and asking me how I took her, why I took her. And then he told me, when you want something for yourself, I come in as Jehovah Jireh. It is for you. When you want me to heal you, I come in as Jehovah Rapha. It is for you. When you want me to fight for you, I come in as Jehovah El Gibo. Like I come in as El Gibo. It is for you. Everything you always want me to do, it is for you. God the healer. He's not healing himself. He's healing you. God the warrior. He's fighting for you. He's providing for you. He said, now, this time I am doing things for me because I am a sovereign God. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because I have the power to do it. And this is my sovereignty. Eh? I felt like, you know how people say God just spoke in thunder and they hid and all those things. I felt the, I don't know how to put it in a way, the lordship of God, if to say, I don't know, like, you know how the kings can stamp something and it is done. I felt the lordship of God, the sovereignty of God, where I don't need to seek him for any permission to do what he wants to do. Like if he wants to take this one, that's his daughter. Like my aunt was his daughter, not my daughter. Like that's how serious sovereignty of God is. And I think to me, God he introduced himself as a sovereign God, where I allow him to do his will in my life. And God definitely he reveals himself to people in different ways. I saw his loving nature, but I also saw his sovereignty. And that is what bounced me back. Yeah, he's a good God. That's a pain that I don't think I've ever really shared it out the way I have. And it is time. It is time to share it. It is time. I had people work with me. I had people pray with me. And people that allowed me to walk the journey. And I believe if you're going through something, you too can have people, because you won't believe this grieving period helped me work with actually three more people that lost people in their lives. And I understood how they felt. I understood their pain. I walked with them the walk that I walked in, just to make sure that they also come out of the pain. And for them, it was faster because someone that has gone through it actually walked with them. Me, I didn't have anyone walking with me. And you know, when you're going through some pains, that's not when you pull out the thou says the Lord. Sometimes people don't want to hear that. People just want you to minister to their soul. So out of that pain, a healing ministry was birthed, where I could walk with people that have gone through such kind of losses, and by the grace of God, help them out. And because of that, I decided to say it is time to share the story. It is time. And now, my amazing family, please, let's keep connecting. Let's keep bonding. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. And also follow us in all the social platforms. It is time. Just follow us and share the love. You never know who's going to be healed. And also, if you have a story that you want us to share, we can share it here together, or you can just write, or I don't know. But it is time. Open up. Get healed. Let God do wonders. It is time for you to let it out. Don't hold on to that pain. It is time. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. And don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on all the social platforms. It is time. Bye. See you next.